Good afternoon, good morning, guys. We will discuss current affairs of 2nd November. Okay. First, we'll discuss objective questions, then prelims facts, and then answer writing. With reference to Union Home Minister, Home Minister Special Operation Medal for the year 2022 consider the following statements. The medal was constituted in 2020 for the first time. Union Home Minister Special Operation Medal. Union Home Minister Special Operation Medal. The medal was first constituted in 2020. The award is conferred on special operation only related to counter-terrorism, which have high degree of planning, high significance for security of the country. It is announced on 31st of October every year. In a year, normally 4 special operations are considered for the award, and in extraordinary circumstances, the award may be given out to 5 operations. Which of the following statements are right? The medal is constituted for in 2000. The medal is constituted in The medal is constituted in 2020 for the first time. This is right. The award is conferred for special operation only related to counter-terrorism. Only related to counter-terrorism of high degree of planning. This is also right. It is announced on 31st October of the year. No, this is wrong. It is 1st November. 1st November of every year. 1st November of every year. This is announced. Next. In the year normally 4 special operations are considered, which make up 5 operations. So 1 to 4 options are right. It is normally it is in it is in 4 special operations normally, and that is in 1st November 2000 of every year. But it is announced. Sorry, yes. See, there is a difference. It is announced on 31st of October every year. Yes, this statement is right, but here it is answers are not all the answers here. It is so 1, 2, 3 will be right. 3 answer is also right. One answer is right. 2 answer is right. 3 answer is also right. So 4 answer is it may also happen in case of extraordinary circumstances. So generally 1 to 4, 1 to 3 option will be more appropriate here. A is answer. 1 to 3 will be the answer. It is yes. It is C. The declaration is given on 1st November, but it is announced in 31st October of every year. It came to the surface by official notification by the PIB in 1st November. Right. Okay. But the genuine answer will be 1, 2, 3, 4. All the answer will be right. Option arrangement is slightly wrong. It may up to operations 3, 5 special operations, right? So all the options will be right. But generally 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 4 both are right also. Okay. Next question. Income Tax Department launches Harit Ayakar Initiative. Harit Ayakar Initiative is launched by Income Tax Department. Which of the following statements is correct regarding Harit Ayakar Initiative? It is an initiative to increase the greenery and create a microforest. Greenery. Harit Ayakar Initiative by it is increase to greenery and create microforest. That is Income Tax Department to create microforest. A is the answer. The initiative aims to increase the income tax base across the regions. Now, A is the answer. It is not about increasing tax base, or it is to provide easy method to income tax payers to file taxes. It is a tax exemption initiatives on plantation of trees. This is a Harit Ayakar initiative that is to increase in the greenery and create a microforest. Microforest means small forests. Okay. In any campus, for example, in an official campus, there should be microforest. External Affairs Minister Jayasankar participated in the virtual 21st Heads of Government Meeting of Shanghai Cooperation Organization (SCO) recently. With reference to SCO, consider the following statements. With reference to SCO, consider the following statements. For the first time, India hosted SCO's 21st Heads of Government meet since India became member of the SCO. Yes, India became a member of SCO in 2016 along with the Pakistan Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Along with Pakistan, we joined simultaneously. Both the countries joined simultaneously. Okay. For the first time, India hosted 21st Heads of Government. India hosted SCO Summit. Okay. India and Pakistan joined the group in 2017 in its first round of expansion. Second statement is wrong. To become SCO member, it will require consensus of all founding members states only. Yes. All founding members states only. So this is also right. So 1 and 3 options are right. Right. Which of the following statements are correct? India and Pakistan joined the group in 2017 in its first round of expansion. This is not the first round of expansion. It is joined in 2007. Now it's because what this is not the first round of expansion. So second statement is right. It's wrong. One and three options will be right. B is the answer. Okay. It is not the first round of expansion. And SCO Shanghai Cooperation Organization. SCO it is a regional organization. It is started in initially, which country has started it? It is SCO. It is started in 2001, right? Initial countries was Kazakhstan, China, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Tajikistan. They are the 5 members of SCO, right? Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Then Uzbekistan have joined. After that, your India and Pakistan they have become member in 2017. So 1 and 3 options will be right. Which refers to International Space Station. Why it was new? Because Russia is coming out of International Space Station, which is situated in low Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit means your 180 kilometer to 2000 kilometer. Generally, it's a low Earth orbit, and International Space Station it is generally present between 400 kilometer to 500 kilometer above Earth surface. This is International Space Station. International Space Station is stationary when seen from Earth. An astronaut in the International Space Station feels completely weightlessness. International Space Station is always in a state of free fall. Which of the following statements are correct? It is always in a state of free fall. Okay. An astronaut in international space station feels complete weightlessness. No, this is no complete weightlessness because there is gravitational force of Earth. It is hardly 400 kilometers above Earth's surface, so it is not completely weightlessness. So statement is wrong. And international space station is stationary. No, this is not stationary because it is revolving around Earth's surface, right? So your only three answer is the correct answer regarding international space station. It is a big satellite that is started by your NASA plus Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, Roscosmos, and JAXA, Japanese space agency, and European space agency, and Canadian space agency. These five space agencies they have jointly developed the International Space Station. Their scientists can go and research. Around 9 members can go and research in the International Space Station. Right? It's the biggest satellite that is launched. Consider the following statements about Central Board of Direct Taxes (CBD). Central Board of Direct Taxes is a statutory authority functioning under Central Board of Revenue Act of 1963. Second statement is it provides essential inputs for policy and planning of direct and indirect taxes of India. The CBDT is headed by chairman and is comprises of 7 members. It is India's official financial action task force unit. Which of the following statements are right regarding Central Board of Direct Taxes? First statement is right. It is direct taxes is a statutory body authority functioning under Central Board of Revenue Act 1963 (CBDT). It provides essential inputs for policy and planning of direct and indirect tax of India. Both direct and indirect tax of India, that is that recommendation is provided by CBDT, Central Board of Direct Taxes. Now, although there is indirect taxes, we have CBIC, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, right? And there is a recommendation that there will be merger of CBT and CBIC, but there is no such merger will happen between Board of Direct Taxes and CBIC. Okay. CBT is headed by a chairman. CBT is headed by a chairman and 7 members. This is wrong. It is India's financial. There is chairman and 6 members. Right. This is not 7 members. This is chairman and 6 members are there. It is India's official financial action task force unit. Yes. It is India's official financial action task force unit. So 1, 2, 4 is the answer. 1 to 4 is the answer. It is CVD is created under the Central Board of Revenue Act of 1963. This statement is right, and it is it is provides essential input for policy for planning for policy and planning for direct taxes, indirect taxes. It is official financial action task force FATF unit, and also CVD is coming under Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Finance. That is CVD, Ministry of Finance, Department of Revenue. Okay. Direct taxes means your corporate tax, for example, the examples of direct taxes, corporate tax, income tax. These are direct taxes. Okay. Next question. Acts and rules that regulate GM crops in India. Environment Protection Act 1986, Biological Diversity Act 2002, Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. Which of the following quotes are right regarding GM crops? GM crops is genetically modified crops. Genetically modified crops. That is what we call as GM crops. The question is yes, Environment Protection Act. Yes, Environment Protection Act 1986 is mandates the central government to take any action. It mandates the central government to take any action with respect to protection of environment. Biological Diversity Act 2002. It is yes, it is to provide to conserve biodiversity. And Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. That means GM crops, for example, if government permits BT brinjal, which is a food, obviously that may alter our there chances that there is some speculations that also some researchers says that this may cause cancer. So all those three acts they regulate the GM crops in India. So suppose BT cotton that will not come under the regulation of Food Safety and Standards Act, but DMS mustard and BT brinjal they will come under the Food Safety and Standards Act 2006. Genetically modified crops are those crops that is modified by genetic engineering, right? And that may alter the genome's strand of a particular crop. Example is BT cotton, BT brinjal, BT brinjal, DMH mustard. But at present, BT cotton is widely used. Publicly it is used. It is only BT cotton, right? Around 95% of cotton cultivation in India are now BT cotton. But rest two are not used by public at present. Clearance is given to DMS mustard, but that will be implemented by the government. A genetically modified organism genome whose DNA has been altered using genetical engineering techniques. It can be an animal, it can be a plant or microbe. Microbe means yes. How? Okay, we GMOs, that is genetically modified organisms, on which that is we can make it apply it in case of animal, plant or microbe. We can apply in all of them. So all of the above are right regarding genetically modified organisms, right? So DNA can be altered of a plant and can be altered of an animal. So one and two are definitely right. You may confuse for regarding microbe. Microbes are also they can be genetically modified because we know that by genetically modified engineering we can sterilize the mosquitoes as well, and we can also because various viruses that can be their genetical composition can be changed. That is also to stop pandemic like diseases. So microbes can their genetical modification can be done as well. So all of the above are right. Which refers to capitation, which refers to capitation fee recently seen in news. Consider the following. Capitation fee refers to collection of payment. With the following statements are correct. Capitation fee refers to the collection of payment by educational bodies not included in the prosperous of the institution. Usually the exchange of or admission of the institution. It has been defined under national education policy. Which of the following statements are correct? First statement is correct. It is the payment by the educational bodies not included in the prospectus of yes, no sorry. not included in the prospectus of the institution. Usually in the exchange of admission to the institution, this is not included, but this is in educational bodies capitation. Capitation actually means that any amount that is paid indirectly or directly more than the fee, that is capitation. Suppose the fees are suppose 5,000. If you are paying 500 rupees more, then that is capitation. Okay. Why it is in news? Because capitation fee is illegal. This is rules Supreme Court. We cannot calculate any amount that is not mentioned in the prospectus of the institution in case of education. It has been defined in National Education Policy 2020. No, it is not defined in National Education Policy. This is wrong. Remember, National Education Policy come by the recommendation of K. Kasturi Rangan Committee. K. Kasturi Rangan Committee. And Goa is the first state to implement the National Education Policy at full fledged. So one and two options. So only one only is the option that is right. With regards to information technology, guidelines for intermediaries and digital media ethics code, rules 2021. Consider the following statements. The guidelines are over the top platform. Yes. Information technology guidelines for the intermediaries and digital media ethics code 2021. Consider the following statements. IT rules. Consider the following statements. The guidelines are for over the top platforms only. See, whenever you see only, then they are wrong. No. Any type of digital media, not only OTT, any type of digital media, that may be YouTube, that may be Facebook, right? Not only OTT platform. It has a code of ethics and procedure and safeguards for the intermediaries are defined in the guidelines. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India is responsible for formulate an oversight mechanism. Responsible for formulate an oversight mechanism. The rules require intermediaries to set up grievance redressal mechanism. Yes, they should set up grievance redressal mechanism. Why this grievance redressal mechanism is essential? Because many times different groups, for example, Karni Sena in case of the dispute regarding the Padmavati movie. The rules are yes require intermediaries to set up grievance redressal mechanism. So if you have any problem regarding any digital content, you can there should be a grievance redressal mechanism. Ministry of Information and Broadcasting India, Government of India is responsible for the oversight mechanism. There should be a code of ethics. Yes, there should be a code of ethics and procedure because whatever you see, whatever you broadcast, it has a huge impact on the population. Right? Huge impact on the masses. That's why. Uh, that's why there should be regulation and procedure. Next, The investment in the capital markets via participation notes rose in recent months. With reference to participatory notes, consider the following statements. Participatory notes. These are financial instruments used by investors that are not registered with the SEBI to invest in Indian securities. Yes, this is right. Those investors which are not registered in the SEBI, that is Security and Exchange Board of India, they can invest in the Indian securities via participatory notes. The investors enjoy voting rights in relation to shares invested to participatory notes. The investors enjoy voting rights in relation to shares invested to participatory notes. Yes. So enjoy voting. No, 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 no. Sorry. This is they, it is impossible. They do not enjoy any voting rights because they do not have they do not because they invest via participatory notes. And they are not genuine investors, so they do not have voting rights. So only is the answer. Right. So any foreign entity they can invest via participatory note if they want to invest in Indian stock market, to invest in Indian securities. So one only is the option. Okay. First, Mencian model. What is this Mencian model? China launched a final component of Mencian model of its format space station. Final component, the mention of of its format space station in October 31, 2022 from Hainan, the country's supermost island province. So the final component, or that is called as Mencian model, that is related to the space station, format space station of China. The Mencian model, literally meaning dreaming of the heaven, was sent to the Earth's lower orbit, that is about 380 kilometers above the surface, aboard the Long March 5B. Aboard the Long March 5B Y4 carrier rocket. So the Long March, what is the March 5B Y4? Like India have GSLV and PSLV. Similarly, they have Long March 5B Y4. Right. That is the carrier rocket of this Mencian. After docking out into core module Xianhe within the core module is Xianhe, within hours of liftoff, it will finish the T-shaped structure to the it will finish the T-shaped structure to the space station. The rendezvous and docking of Mencian will be monitored by the three Chinese astronauts aboard the space station. Right. Okay. So China has launched its Mencian model to the space. Um, it is the permanent space station for the research of space, because like in terms of space station, China have is developing its own space station. Russia is also developing its own space station, and the launch vehicle is Long March 5B-Y4. Right. So it will yes, and they will observe the scientists will be observe, Chinese astronauts will from they will observe the space from the space station. Mentioning the second of the two modules. Mentioning the second of the two modules that will house the science labs for carrying out experiments. The other lab module is Wenxian was sent in July 2022. Wenxian and Mengxian. Wenxian and Mengxian, they are the modules, right? Together they will complete the two arms of China's space station, Xiangong. Xiangong, right? Xiangong is the Chinese space station, which means palace in the sky. Xiangong, that is the palace in the sky. They will complete the two arms of Chinese space station. See, International Space Station is not a single satellite. Five different satellites they come together and they have jointly constitute International Space Station. Actually, space stations are so big in size that we cannot send one space station at a time to the space. That's why we send multiple space stations to the space, and they came towards each other and become one in space. So that is Chinese space station Xiangong that consists of Mengxian and Wenxian. And the region of Xiangong is the palace of the sky. The United States banned the national NASA banned its National Aeronautics and Space Administration from sharing data with China. So NASA will not share data with China, and they are excluding the Chinese scientists from the International Space Station. In 2021, country began the process of building its own space station, and once finished, to be the third country in the world to do so. Earlier it was the Russia and USA. So India it will be third country to start an international space station because NASA has banned China from getting information uh, from US has banned China from getting information from NASA. Mengxian will host workstations of Chinese astronauts and friendly countries. Over 1,000 experiments will be conducted on the space station in next 10 years. Right? The experiment in the Mengxian wing will be mostly in the field of microgravity scientific studies as well as frontier scientific projects covering the fluid physics, combustion, and science and space technologies. So there will be research on for research on there will be around 1,000 experiments in the Mengxian that is to study the microgravity. Okay. Harit Ayakar initiative. The Income Tax Department has launched Harit Ayakar initiative on the occasion of National Unity Day to increase greenery and create a microforest. Right? To increase greenery and create a microforest, Harit Ayakar initiative was launched by Income Tax Department. Harit is the abbreviation of Haryali Achievement Resolution by Income Tax. Haryali Achievement Resolution by Income Tax, Harit Ayakar initiative. Under this initiative, the department resolves to increase the green cover by planting trees, creating microforest and around income tax department's buildings and other public areas. So it will be around income tax department building creating microforest. The objective is to create small forest or microforest and to increase the green cover by planting trees. That is Harit Ayakar initiative around the public areas. Central Board of Indirect Taxes. The Central Board of Direct Taxes is a statutory authority functioning under the Central Board of Revenue Act 1963. So CBDT it becomes a statutory authority in the 1963. Central Board of Direct Taxes becomes a statutory authority. The officials of the official of the board in their ex officio capacity also function as a division of the Ministry of Finance. As a division of the Ministry of Finance dealing with the matters relating to the levy and collection of direct taxes. A division this the officials from the board in their ex officio capacity function as a division of Ministry of Finance. That is to matters relating to levy and collection of direct taxes. CBT it collects the collection, it levies and collection of the direct taxes. Net taxes means corporate tax, income tax, all these things. CBT is a part of Department of Revenue, Ministry of Finance, and Government of India. That is right. It provides essential inputs for policy and planning on direct taxes in India. It is responsible for administration of direct tax to the laws of Income Tax Department. Yes. So it basically it makes planning and policies for income tax. It is India's official financial action task force unit. FATF unit is FATF unit. Like CBI is the nodal agency of Interpol. Similarly, CBT is the official of financial action task force unit. The Central Board of Revenue as a department of apex body charged with the administration of taxes came into existence as a result of Central Board of Revenue Act 1924. So Central Board of Revenue as a department. So this department just came into existence from Central Board of Revenue Act 1924, but it derives its power from the Act of 19. This derives CBT derives its power from the Act of 1963, Central Board of Revenue Act 1963. The Madras High Court held that any amount collected by the educational institutions in excess of the prescribed fee, either directly or indirectly, should be treated as a capitation fee. And even if it has happened to be voluntary contribution donation, and that collection of capitation fee is illegal and punishable. Illegal and punishable. You cannot charge more than whatever you are written in your book. So this is the judgment of Madras High Court. That is illegal and punishable. So if an educational institution is taking more money than what it is mentioned in its prospectus, then that will be calculated as computed that is it is illegal. Capitation fee is illegal and punishable. That institution will be punished. The judgment was deliverable while dealing with a batch of tax case appeals related to income tax proceedings initiated against a group of trusts. Initiated against a group of trusts who are running education institutions and charging more than whatever they have said. The High Court said that modus operandi adopted by the college management was to demand capitation fee from parents, but insists that it should be deposited to the account of the sister trust, not from the bank accounts of the parents, but from that of the relatives or friends. What are the relatives and friends? Modus operandi adopted by the college of management was demand of capitation fee from the parents, but insists that it should be deposited in the account of a sister trust, not from the bank accounts of the parent, what that is their relatives or friends. Okay. So generally what college management do, they are demanding the fees from the parents and that should be deposited into the account of another trust that is not from the and that sometimes that may from the relatives or the friends to the account. So such type of capitation is going on in different type of in institutions. Such deposits get routed from one trust to another before reaching to the college management as a corpus fund. That is called as corpus fund that is reaching to the college management. In the process, trusts are also end up claiming exemption from the payment of income tax on the ground that they are charitable institutions that the funds were actually voluntary contributions made by the different donors. So in the name of voluntary contributions, they are taking the money and they are also enjoying the benefits of income tax, right, as their charitable institutions. So what is this capitation fee? Capitation fee refers to an illegal transaction in which in which that the illegal transaction in which transaction that the provides educational services collects fee higher than the approved by the regulatory norms. So than the regulatory norms there. So whatever the regulatory norms, what are mentioned in the prospectus, if a particular institution is taking more money than that, that is called as capitation fee. In the context of Indian law, capitation fee refers to collection of payment by educational bodies not included in the prospectus of the constitution. Usually in exchange for admission of the institutions. Usually in exchange for admission into the institution. In the context of Indian law, capitation fee refers to collection of payment by educational bodies not included in the prospectus. That is called as capitation fee. So whatever extra you are paying, that is capitation fee, and that is illegal. The prohibition of unfair practices in the technical education institutions, medical institutions, universities bill 2010 denies defines it as any payment amount that is practiced widely prevalent in the private colleges and universities of India, especially those that grant degrees in engineering, IT, and sciences. They are taking capitation fee. Capitation fee has been one of the major contributions into the corruption in the education in the society. So this need to be stopped. Discuss the role of National Commission on Backward Classes in the wake of its transformation from statutory to constitutional body. National Commission on Backward Classes (NCBC) was a statutory body under Ministry of okay. Role of National Commission on Backward Classes. What is the role of National Commission of Backward Classes? In transformation from statutory body to constitutional body. Now it has become a constitutional body. So what's the role has changed? Okay, it was a statutory body under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, but in 102nd constitutional amendment, it became a constitutional status. It became a constitutional body, that is National Commission for Backward Classes. It became a constitutional body by the 102nd constitutional amendment of 2018. There are various transformations that happened in the new NCBC. What are those transformations? As a statutory body, it derives its power from statutes or laws made by the parliament, while now as a constitutional body, it derives its power and authorities from the Indian Constitution. There is a power from statutes or laws made by the parliament, while now as a constitutional body, it derives its power from the authorities of the Indian Constitution. So obviously its power is more than the previous because earlier it was deriving its power from the parliament, now it is deriving from the constitution itself. The 102nd Constitutional Amendment Act inserted Article 338B, Article 338B, which is regarding the NCBC to examine complaints and welfare measures. This was lacking in the previous NCBC. This was lacking in the previous National Commission for Backward Classes. Right. That is 338B, 102nd Constitutional Amendment. It was lacking in the previous NCBC. 102nd Constitutional Amendment inserted a new Article 342A, which brings Greater Transparency Act, as the Act specifies the concurrence of Parliament, which is mandatory in the amendment of the list of backward classes. 102nd Constitutional Amendment, it inserted a new article that brings greater transparency in the Act. So, yes, which is mandatory in the amendment in the list of backward classes. In the new NCBC, the focus has shifted from reservation to the development of the backward classes and the inclusion of grievance redressal. So, grievance redressal has become strengthened and reservation to the development of backward classes. Earlier it was only reservation, now it is development. So, the approach is changing because of the approach of government is changing. Regarding the development of backward classes. However, there are some underlying issues like recommendation of the NCBC is not mandatory. and it has no responsibility to define backwardness. It has no responsibility to define backwardness. So NCBC this cannot define backwardness. Now also it is not mandatory. It is recommended. It is a recommendation, and it is up to the government to accept the recommendation or not. But the thing is that it will be presented before the parliament. The report will be of NCBC. This will be presented before the parliament, and it will be discussed in the floor of the house that how many recommendations are not accepted by the government of India. So that creates a pressure on the government. The government explains why the recommendations are not accepted. Thus, the NCBC is an important commission for social progress. It should be gender sensitive. There should be no vote bank politics for better implementation of its rules. There should be no vote bank politics. It's an important commission for social progress. It should be gender sensitive. Gender sensitive means it should be there should be affirmative actions for the women. For the women, there should be affirmative action. Affirmative action means special privileges or special facilities for the women. That is what we call a gender sensitive. Okay. So we have to assume that the women of backward classes are more deprived as compared to the men. So this is the answer writing discussion. Next we will discuss the genetically modified crops and the regulation in India. Genetically modified crops. On October 15, 2022, the Environment Ministry Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee (GESC) Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee (GESC) cleared the proposal for the commercial cultivation of GM mustard. Right. So GM mustard is clear. So GESC it has cleared the proposal for commercial cultivation of GM mustard. Right. The GESC has previously cleared the proposal in 2017, but it was vetoed by the ministry, and the committee was told to conduct more studies on GM crop. The GESC's recommendation was again going to Environment Ministry for approval. The latest GESC approval allows for the environmental release of two varieties, that is genetically engineered mustard, for developing of new parental lines and a hybrid under the supervision of the Indian Council of Agricultural Research and hybrids. So the genetically engineered mustard and its hybrids that will do permission, that seeks the permission, and the research are done under the supervision of Indian Council of Agricultural Research, that is ICAR. So the permission was given by the GESC. GESC is the apex body that research on the genetically modified crops or GM crops, whether what are the long-term impact of a particular GM crop, that is studied by GESC, and it recommends the approval of a particular GM crops, and it is up to the ministry to accept it or not. What is GESC? The Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, GESC, under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, is responsible for the assessment of proposals related to release of genetically engineered organisms products into environment, including experimental field trials. So GESC, this Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, it is Ministry of Environment. It is under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Remember, it is responsible for the assessment of proposals or regarding GM crops. GSC or people authorized by it have the power to take punitive actions under the Environment Protection Act. That means, suppose if the DMS, if the mustard is not permitted and now you are cultivating it in commercial purpose, then they can take action against you, punishable action against you under Environment Protection Act of 1986. So, what is genetically modified crops? What is this genetically modified organism? It is any organism whose genetic material has been modified to input certain desirable techniques. If the genetical material is modified, then that is called a GM crop. The genetic modification has previously been used as a large scale production of insulin and vaccines and more. Earlier, this genetic modification was used in case of the vaccine production and insulin production. So, GEC under Ministry of Forest and Climate Change, and they can take action under the Prevention of Environment Act of 1986, and GMO or genetically modified organisms. They may be change the genetical component of a plant, of an animal, and of a microbe, and that is done in case of vaccine production and insulin production. Biotechnology. Okay. To primitive maize. Prehistoric human selection and modification of wild plants to produce cultivated plants. Then modern breeding through scientific selection and cross pollination among the irrigated farms. Right. This is what we call as hybridization. And now there is genetic modification for transfer useful genes from other organisms to crop plants. Insect resistance. Now there will be not insect. There will not be any insect. It was the earlier primitive maize. This is a modern maize. Now there will be no insect. Insect resistance. And that will be susceptible against any adverse conditions, adverse environmental conditions also. Production will be higher. That is GM crop. Okay. Next. In crop genetic modification involves manipulation of DNA instead of using controlled pollination. Manipulation of DNA, neither controlled pollination, because by controlled pollination we develop hybrid, right? Hybrid varieties. But here manipulation of DNA occurs. The conventional method is to improve crops was to ascertain characteristics of the crops. Certain characteristics. That means suppose two crops are hybridization occurs, then positives of the both crops that come to the positives of A and positives of B that come to the next offspring. That is the test. Only positives comes to the next generation generally. Higher chances that. That is what we call as hybrid crop. Soybean, maize, cotton, canola with herbicide tolerance, insect resistance are the most widely grown GM crops around the world. Soybean, maize, cotton, canola. These are herbicide tolerance and insect resistance. Other common genetically modified characteristics include virus resistance, drought resistance, fruit and tuber quality. So that are also genetic materials, not a virus resistance. So they cannot be affected by the various insects or viruses. The production will be higher, and the benefits to the farmers will be higher. To genetically modify a crop, the gene of interest identified and isolated from the host of organisms. To genetically modify a crop, a gene of interest is identified and isolated from the host of organism. If then incorporated into DNA of the crop to be grown, the performance of GM crop is tested under the strict laboratory field conditions, and its long-term impact are studied, and what are the possible consequences to the mankind or by genetical alteration. This is deeply studied, and if they found that there is no such risk, then GESC, Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, that gives the permission to the public. Right. So this is biotechnology. Gene of interest identified is isolated. Agrobacterium, there are two approaches: agrobacterium approach and gene gun approach. That is gene amplification. DNA coated gold particles. Gene gun shoots gold particles in other plant cells and gene incorporated into plant DNA. Here, agrobiotechnology approach, that is inserted into vector. That is TI plasmid. TI plasmid taken up by the bacterium in the culture. In culture, that plant cultured with bacterium. TI plasmid moves into plant cell and gene and enters DNA on the plant DNA. Cells screen for the inserted gene transgene and cells transferred into plant growth medium. So this is how biotechnology forms by two different methods. One is gene gone approach, in which DNA coated gold particles are inserted. Another is agrobacterium approach, in which gene is inserted into a vector, that is TI plasmid. GM crops in India. Indian farmers started cultivating minty cotton, a pest-resistant genetically modified version of cotton, in 2023, 2002 and 2003. BT modification is a type of genetic modification where BT gene isolated from the soil bacterium, that is Bacillus thuringiensis, right? Soil bacterium, that is Bacillus thuringiensis, is introduced into the market crop. In this case, cotton BT cotton resistant to bollworm, pest, and destroy the cotton plants. So that bollworm, that and pest that earlier were destroy the cotton plants. Now this BT cotton is that those pest resistance and insect resistance. In 2014, around 96% of area under cotton cultivation was from the BT cotton. In India, is the fourth largest cultivator of GM crops by acreage and the second largest production of cotton. So, by acreage, India is fourth largest producer of BT in the GM crop production. Genetically modified crop production. So, 2020 to 23, 1%, then 1%. It becomes 6%, then 5%, 42%, 66%, 80%, 81%, 85%. So these are the percentage of BT cotton area. How it has increased over the time. Production of 1000 metric tons. India's production almost equal to China regarding the BT cotton. The regulatory framework, how GM crops are regulated. Environmental Protection Act, Biological Diversity Act, Plant Quarantine Order 2003, GM Pollution and Foreign Trade Policy, Food and Standard Act 2006, Drugs Cosmetic Rule Amendment 1988. They regulate the development, cultivation, transport, and movement of genetically modified organisms. Okay, different ministries have different responsibilities. Like Environment Ministry, responsible for conservation protection for environment regarding LMO, living modified organisms. That means how these genetically modified organisms will not hamper the environment. That will be ensured by Ministry of Environment and Climate Change. That is a nodal agency for implementing the rules regarding, that is Cartagena Protocol of Biosafety. Remember 1989 Cartagena Protocol of Biosafety, that talks that such type of genetically modified organisms will not be transferred to a particular country, another country, without their permission. Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology, nodal department of promoting biotechnology programs. So development of biotechnology, that generally done by Ministry of Science and Technology. Implementation of biosafety regulations. Provide areas of research infrastructure and human resource. They research on the genetic GM crops. Ministry of Agriculture, this aimed at agricultural growth. So ICAR responsible for monitoring agricultural benefits of GM technology. Suppose GM technology is produced. Right. Suppose GM crop is produced, how should it affect the agriculture? That will be studied by Ministry of Agriculture. Then Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The policies are protecting and monitoring the human health. So if there is any problem regarding the GM mustard, or the Ministry of Family and Ministry of Healthcare and Family, that will study if there is any possible consequences on health of the masses. Then Ministry of Commerce and Industries enhance the trade of other countries through export and import policies. Nodal agency for implementing notification of GMOs, genetically modified organisms. Enforcement of regulation pertaining to transfer and movement of the GMOs at point of entry. So these are the responsibilities of different departments of GM crops. That's why it is very clumsy and very complex. So that is why there is delay regarding permission of GM crops. Broadly, these rules covers all activities related to research and development of genetically modified organisms, field and clinical trials for organisms, deliberate unintentional or release of genetically modified organisms. The person will be punished if there is release of genetically modified organisms before it is cultivated or permitted to for cultivation, import, export, and manufacture of genetically modified organisms. That is what it aims by higher production. What is the GM mustard? It is hybrid, that is DMH11. DMH11 was developed by a team of scientists of Delhi University, led by former Vice Chancellor Genetical and Genetics Professor Deepak Pendal under government funded project. It uses a system of genes from soil bacterium that makes the mustard genetically self-pollinating plant, better suited to hybridization than current methods. That is GM mustard, right? Better suited to hybridization. So that is high drought resistant, crop resistant, and that is high production. All these are the features of GM mustards. Feasibility or reports have developed DMS mustard yield at increase of 20-30% over non-hybrids. So there is increase in production or yield by 30%, which is reported by several NGOs. However, even if yield increases by 25-30%, does not seem to be high enough to promote the introduction of IP and labeling requirements of all levels. Especially at the levels of small and medium farmers, the consequences of introduction of such system would considerably decrease the price preference that are expected, resulting from increased yield. So it is said that then consideration, yes, such a system would consider deplete the price preference that is expected. So maximum they will go for the GM crops and their price preference will be affected. GESE, because if two goods are sold at one is a higher price and lower price, then obviously people will go for lower prices. That is the problem. GESE cleared environmental release of mustard hybrid Dhara mustard hybrid for its seed production and testing as per existing ICAR guidelines and other extant rules prior to the commercial release. So, before the commercial release, what are the possible consequences and necessary documentation are required? What are the recommendations? It has environmental release of genetically modified mustard parental lines 3.6 carrying barness and bar genes. MODUS 2.19 containing Baxter and bar genes, environmental release of the mustard, field production and testing as per ICAR guidelines. This is what as per the ICAR guidelines. That is Institute for Agriculture Research and Research, right? Institute for Indian Council for Agriculture Research. They will make the research how much it is affecting the production. Conduct field demonstration studies is respect to effect of GM mustard on honey bees and other pollinators in post environmental release. After the environmental release, how it is affecting honey bees and other insects. Otherwise, it may have impact on the food chain. The approval is limited to a period of 4 years, renewable for 2 years at a time on compliance of the report. So if it goes fine, then initially it is permitted for 2 years. Okay. So this is all about your GM crops, and the lectures end here. Like this video, share and subscribe to VANIK-IAS. Thank you.